please welcome the First Lady of the United States, Dr. Jill Biden.
Good morning. Well, if that light show didn't wake you up, nothing else will. Please, thank you. It was an ordinary Saturday in an extraordinary life. I was in my office in the East Wing doing what community college teachers do on weekends, especially a weekend so late in the semester. I was grading papers. It was late last April, and earlier that morning, I'd read in the New York Times that the U.S. loses $1.8 billion in working time every year to the menopause symptoms that upend women's lives. It struck me. I'd experienced those kind of symptoms too. So had many of my friends. But I thought, that's the way life is, isn't it? And then that afternoon, Maria Shriver, the former First Lady of California, came in for a meeting. She wanted to talk about women's health research. It's a problem that's so simple, yet often ignored. Women's health is understudied and research is underfunded. As a result, too many of our medications, treatments, health products, and medical school textbooks are based on men. That's why if you ask any woman in America about her health care, she probably has a story to tell. You know her. She's the woman who gets debilitating migraines but can't find treatment options that work for her. She's the woman whose heart attack isn't detected because her symptoms don't look like a man's, even as heart disease is the leading cause of death among women. She's the woman going through menopause who visits her doctor and leaves with more questions than answers, even though half the country will go through menopause at some point in their lives. It seems like women's bodies are considered miracles when we're in our childbearing years and mysteries as we age. I knew that this had to change. My husband, President Joe Biden, has a deep understanding about how government works and how to get things done quickly. So when I told Joe about this research gap, he got to work. Last November, we launched the first ever White House initiative on women's health research. From an ordinary Saturday conversation, the Biden administration has done something extraordinary and fast. All in less than a year, we used the convening power of the White House to bring together government agencies, researchers, medical experts, innovators, and investors. Joe signed the most comprehensive executive order ever to expand and improve research and innovation in women's health. The NIH is investing millions of dollars in new interdisciplinary women's health research and how menopause affects our hearts, brains, and bones. The Department of Defense is committing $500 million each year to women's health research. And what helps, I know, it's great. And what helps women service members helps all women. And just today, and I hope you are all aware of this, ARPA-H, the agency that Joe created to invest in the most cutting-edge health breakthroughs, announced $110 million for women's health researchers and startups to bring new treatments and cures to the market. This is government at its best. ARPA-H reached an unprecedented 1,700 submissions for this new funding sprint, which shows the energy and the exploration that's possible in this field. From there, ARPA-H chose to fund 23 recipients with the best sparks, meaning the most promising ideas, so that researchers can take their work to the next level, and the best launch pads that are the teams that are all ready to bring that new treatments and health products to market within 2 years. So let me give you a couple of examples. 1 in 10 women suffers from a painful, debilitating condition called endometriosis. It can take as long as a decade for women to get a diagnosis. One of today's recipients from Washington University is developing a blood test, the first of its kind, to reduce the time it takes to diagnose the disease from years to days, so that women can get treatments they need more quickly. And I know you're out there somewhere. Congratulations. We also know that women are more likely to get migraines, but we don't know why. At UNC Chapel Hill, a study is being funded to see how migraines are connected to the lymphatic system to help solve that mystery. And the team is working toward personalized treatments for migraines. ARPA-H is de-risking investments in these big ideas so that answers can get to the women who need them now. The potential in this space is too great to ignore. In 2021, the Boston Consulting Group estimated that the size of women's health market would grow from $9 billion to $29 billion in just 8 years, because of the growing momentum from funders and founders to address the unmet health needs of women. I know that you all see these opportunities in your day-to-day work. Here's what I also want you to know. The women of America are waiting on you. Anytime that I get together with my sisters or my friends, we all have conversations about our health. We ask each other, should I be taking hormone therapy to symptoms related to menopause? How is it possible that my heart attack was almost missed? It's time for investors, researchers, and business leaders to have those conversations too. Not as an afterthought, but as a first thought. Those kinds of questions belong in your research proposals, in your laboratories, in your pitch desks. There is an incredible momentum behind women's health right now. So what are you going to do to make sure that this energy is unstoppable, so that we leave doctors' offices with more answers than questions, and take this moment of opportunity to create something extraordinary? You can count on me, and I hope that women can count on you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. You've been great. So to continue this discussion, it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Carolyn Missouri, the chair of the White House Initiative on Women's Health Research, Dr. Renee Wegerson, who leads ARPA-H, Maria Shriver, you all know, a tireless advocate for advancing women's health, and Lucy Perez, a senior partner with McKinsey & Company. Please help me welcome them to stage. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Thank you. I want to thank Dr. Biden, first of all, for this announcement that's so terrific, and also for her very important remarks. I am Dr. Carolyn Missouri. I am very honored to be the chair of the White House Initiative on Women's Health Research. And I wanted to mention that I came to this position from Yale Medical School as a professor who created and directed a women's health research center for 25 years. And I want to tell you, it is my great pleasure over those 25 years to see women's health research grow into an established scientific field of inquiry. And I want to again thank Dr. Biden and the Biden administration for accelerating that process and really raising the national consciousness about the importance of women's health research. So I am joined today by Dr. Renee Wegerson, the director of ARPA-H, and those initials stand for the Advanced Research Projects Agency for Health. Renee provides the strategic vision for this bold new federal agency, which was created by President Biden. And the agency is rapidly transforming health discoveries and innovation into real-world outcomes. I am also joined by Dr. Lucy Perez, a senior partner at McKinsey & Company and co-leader of the McKinsey Health Institute, which has actively taken the lead in determining the economic benefits of studying the health of women. And I am also joined by my friend Maria Shriver, who throughout the many facets of your storied career, you have been an extraordinary and unceasing advocate for women and for women's health. So thank you. And I'd like to actually start with you today, Maria, but I just wanted to say one last thing before we begin, and that is I was reflecting on what brings the four of us to the stage today, and it seems to me we share two fundamental commitments. The first is a shared dedication to improving women's health, and the second is an understanding that the pathway to that is really deriving empirical findings that can be used for health care. And so I'm so pleased to have this conversation with all of you today based on our belief that we can make a change, and we will. So Maria, the First Lady spoke about how you were the one who initially brought to her the dramatic inattention to the study of women's health. Why was that important to you to bring that to her at that point in time? Did you sense an urgency at that moment?
Well, thank you, Carolyn. And I wanted to say I'm really thrilled to be here with all of you. And I'm really glad that the health conference is prioritizing, really for the first time, women's health and research. So that's a big new gift to this conversation. And I want to say that the state of women's health today is very different than if we had been having this conversation a year ago. And that's in large part to the work that has been done by so many of the women in this room, in this field, but it's also in large part due to the White House initiative on women's health and research. So I think it kind of, whatever your political affiliation, it shows that government matters, that government can elevate an issue, that a president and a first lady can take an issue and put it front and center, put muscle behind it, and things change dramatically. And that's what happened in this case. They hired Carolyn, they activated, as the First Lady said, the entire government and changed how we prioritize and fund women's health research. So I got involved. That's huge. That's really, really huge. And all in under a year. So we often think, like, what does government do for me? What does it matter? Can it get anything done? And here's a really great example of what it can do when, you know, like, people are aggressive in wanting to do something. I've been in the Alzheimer's advocacy space for 25 years, and I've been in the women's Alzheimer's advocacy phase for almost that long. And I knew from researching that space that there was no funding for women. First of all, when I got into the Alzheimer's advocacy space, they told me that women weren't disproportionately impacted. And I said, well, I don't think that's true, because nursing homes are full of women, and it's not just because we age longer. So I set out for 2 years to report on that issue. Lo and behold, Alzheimer's does discriminate against women. 2/3 of those who get Alzheimer's are women, and no one knew why that was. So I started the Women's Alzheimer's Movement to fund research into women's brains, to try to pinpoint what was happening in women's brains and at what point in their life their brains were beginning to change. Was it in pregnancy? Was it in perimenopause, menopause? What was causing, what was the impact of loss of estrogen, et cetera? And everywhere I went, people would say, we don't know about Alzheimer's in women. We don't know anything about women, because no one is researching women and no one's funding that research. Less than 11% of NIH was focused on women's health research. So I kept talking about it, and I was doing a Women's Alzheimer's Research Awards luncheon in Washington, and my brother said to me, why don't you take this to the First Lady instead of just running around the country talking your head off all the time, and see if the President and the First Lady would get interested in this. I said, great, get me a meeting. And lo and behold, that's what I went in on a Saturday. I explained to the First Lady and her Chief of Staff, Anthony Bernal, what the situation was, how little women were valued